So in your last interview, you talked about from your perspective, you thought klezmer was in the process of transitioning to becoming concert music.
Mhm.
And do you think that has happened? And also, where does cantorial music stand in that
Yeah, I wouldn't
development?
necessarily say that klezmer music is like chronologically from the 1950s until the now undergoing a process becoming concert music. I would say it's sort of constantly a negotiation of when you're taking music from folkloric sources and presenting them on a stage. Um, some folkloric sources are performative, and some of them are not. So, for example, a lot of the klezmer repertoire is functional music, and functional music without a cultural function at this point, right? So the whole the multiple functions, very important functions in terms of the dramaturgy of a Jewish wedding that the klezmer is responsible for communicating. Um, those we don't have anymore, even at religious weddings. They're not really as defined. Their traditions don't really work anymore. Also, a lot of the traditions that are like seeming that the klezmer revival talks about as important, or that people like, they actually really weren't such a big deal, and they didn't do them everywhere. Um, this transition, I think it's a constant thing. Like when you're taking a dance tune and you're trying to play it on the stage, it's a really interesting question how to do it. I think it's a process for every piece. I think cantorial music is somehow different because it is, as much as if you talk to a cantor and you say, are you performing or are you davening? They'll say, oh, we're davening, but they're performing. And when cantors perform on a stage, and they don't say God's name, they say, uh, they replace other words for God's name. But I think it's a performative tradition, even in the folkloric context. Even when it's not a professional trained cantor and it's just somebody leading, it's a performative element, and it's yeah. I mean, you have to be good at it to perform it, but I don't think the composition itself has to be changed. Whereas I would say with a klezmer dance tune, it does. You have to think about how to develop it in a very different way than when you're playing for dancers.